Hi Pisces, I hope that you're all doing well. This reading is going to be about what you need to know for September. We're starting off first with the Hermit. It can mean that there's something that you're thinking about, could be looking for answers, can just be spending time sort of reflecting on things. You can be spending more time on your own. This looks like an assessment about what you're holding on to. I wonder too if this is going to be about like if it's worth it to you, depending on what comes up when you're thinking about it. I'm seeing Four of Pentacles here, and you thinking about that, you can be asking yourself, this can bring up themes of control. It can bring up themes of sacrifice, if there are any sacrifices that you're making. Just questions that you're asking yourself of like, are certain things worth it for me to be holding on to, or am I holding on too tight to something? Am I trying to force something, or is this something that I want to keep doing things in this way? There can also be questions of like flexibility can be coming up. I do see Four of Pentacles as generally being a theme of control, where Four of Pentacles can sometimes be this energy where, because of like wanting things to be stable or secure, sometimes, depending on where you are within the energy, it can manifest as becoming inflexible. So even when the universe is like giving you signs about something, like, hey, maybe this isn't fitting, sometimes there can be a refusal and really wanting to hold something even tighter than you normally would, and then you end up squeezing the life out of it, and it can feel like, why am I playing this game, and why is this feeling so stressful for me? And you look and you're the one that's doing it, you're the one that's exhausting yourself. But it doesn't have to be like that. That is a way that the energy can manifest. This can also just be a concern of wanting to hold the things close to you that feel important to you. And it doesn't have to be overexerting yourself, but you'll know for yourself if you're like going into that territory. Like if something feels so tiring to hold on to in order to keep it, it can be a time when you're looking at something and being like, is this worth it to me? Is it worth putting in the effort? Or is this something that's trying to leave my life, or something that's asking me to show up differently? And having Hermit here, you may not be decided on any of this. This can just be I'm looking into this because I want to understand it better. And things having to do with control, like that theme can be coming up. Where you can be unmoving, where you can be unwavering, and sometimes that can really benefit you. Like it can benefit you to dig your heels in, and other times it can just be like, I'm holding on to this even though the universe is telling me otherwise, or I'm doing things in this way. Because it doesn't just have to be holding on to something physically, it can be holding on to a way of doing things. It can be holding on to a certain mentality where there's a rigid energy and where you're not really growing, you're not really expanding, or you're just like feel like you're swimming upstream constantly. Yeah, you know how I'm seeing this card? It feels like trying to balance this and then trying to hold on to this and hold on to that and hold on to that. And even though life requires you to have movement, it's like you can't really move because you're trying to not let any of this go anywhere, So like there's basically a stagnancy here that I'm seeing. Page of Swords, you can learn by this. The areas of your life that you can be trying to like trap things or keep things or hold on to them, there can be things that you're realizing about that. It feels like a self-analysis here, especially having the Hermit here too. This may not be something that you're like shouting at the rooftop. This can be something that you're sort of silently reflecting about within yourself. Like I'm realizing that I've been being stubborn, or I realize that think maybe it should be a little bit easier than it is. And maybe it's because of something that I'm doing. If this does have to do with a mentality, you can be looking into a rigidness mentally. You're going to find answers that it seems like you don't initially have. Seeing Page of Swords and Two of Swords, this is like looking into something that you don't know yet, but it's going to allow you to see something clearly that you haven't had that breakthrough with yet. Page of Swords shows you initiating this, like looking into something so you can understand it better, but Two of Swords feels like it indicates that there isn't clarity about this yet. You're looking into it, so you're going to get it. At the same time, it feels like not there yet. This can be a move that's made out of an insecurity. And you can be checking into that and reflecting on it in a way where this is something that will be addressed rather than just something stagnant. Feels even like you're going to realize something about yourself. Okay. Over on this side, there's Queen of Wands and there's Judgment. The energy of the Queen of Wands is the part of you that is trusting yourself, do things the way that you want to do them, knowing your worth as well. That being a really big part of the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is also about trusting yourself. It's about your authenticity, being yourself. Again, like doing things how you want to do them. Queen of Wands is a very fiery energy. It's one that, it's the part of you that lives with heart. It's the part of you that lives with passion, where you care about what you're doing. This is not a part of you that's motivated by fear in a way where it stops you from doing things. More so like checking in, recognizing what's going on, sort of pushing through anyway. Not in a bypassing type of way, but more so like, I'm not going to let that hold me back. That fire energy is a very determined one. So it's one where you recognize yourself, and coming back to this self-worth, it means that if situations are not aligned, that you recognize that, you know, that you're going to not be putting in extra stuff and then not get what you need back out of it when you're involved in relationships of any sort. Even if another person is not on the other end of it. Relationships, it's just you with something else on the other end, and there being exchanges that are happening. Then having Judgment. Judgment is about needing to break something down and analyze it because you want to see it, you want to understand it. Judgment card represents Pluto. Pluto is about investigating. And this feels like there's a investigation of self that's coming on. With the Queen of Wands, it feels like investigating through that lens of recognizing your worth and recognizing what you're capable of, and your heart and where that's leading you, to allow you to maybe take matters into your own hands in another way. Maybe there's somewhere for you to grow, or there's something for you to break out of that you hadn't been breaking out of. You know, maybe you're going to look at something through a lens where it's a kind of lens that you want to be. This feels like a fire lens that you'd be looking at things through when maybe that wasn't going on before. Because Four of Pentacles can even be realizing like where you'd been stuck because of like refusing to bend or be flexible, or even like look around at options that you have. and just holding on to something and not really moving anywhere. Like, yes, if I stay like this, I can hold on to what I have. At the same time, there's no other movement and there are no other options. So I'm just keeping something exactly the same. And you can feel like you're fighting life because life is ever changing. Swooping over here to Queen of Wands and Judgment and Knight of Wands, you can be seeing where you've been holding yourself back or where you hadn't been allowing yourself to live your life or experience your life in a way where, like, Queen of Wands and Knight of Wands, that's the part of you that like wants to find pleasure in doing things and enjoy things that you have going on. And you can be looking at things through that lens of, I may need to like make a sacrifice or put myself out there in some way, or maybe be a little bit more flexible here or be a little bit more courageous here, but it's going to allow me to enjoy things more so and feel like I'm living my life for myself rather than something else that maybe keeps me feeling like I'm just scraping by, but in a way that like I'm not really enjoying things, you know, or I'm not really honoring myself. That can be part of it too, because Queen of Wands is a part of you where you have standards and you have preferences, and it is also about honoring that and knowing that when you're honoring those things, they feed your life force. So it makes you feel like this is a life worth living. And so you can enjoy things, and so you can pull inspiration from your life because you're inspired by it. And that being part of the thing that motivates you. So it definitely feels like tapping into your fire. And it does feel like maybe incorporating some more like fun or adventure into things, or even just maybe needing to, feels like a more adventurous spirit. Actually, let's clarify the Knight of Wands just to see if this is about a particular thing. Like, is this a particular thing that you're approaching? Is it about even approaching yourself and your psychology in a way that's maybe more adventurous and exploratory? In a way that maybe feels more beneficial? I feel like that's more on the head. Has to do with the work you've been putting in, the way you've been approaching it. What's it going to take for you to move forward? Maybe you want to move on from something. What do you want to move on from now? Do you want to move on from something, or do you want to move towards something? Is there a difference between the two of those? What's that about? I want to clarify what was going on before this. Because I'm seeing you in transit. I'm seeing you moving, but I'm not seeing... Well, actually, maybe that's the point of the cards coming out in this way. Like, maybe it's not about what was going on before. Maybe it's just that you're in transit right now, moving somewhere. Okay. It feels like something's settling down, actually. Some of you, this has to do with reciprocity connected with your relationships. So this can be anything socially that's going on for you, and making sure that what you're sort of involving yourself in, that it's aligned with your values. It doesn't only have to be social stuff, like as far as other people. It can be what you allow yourself to connect with from your heart space, and sort of what those relationships look like. That can be a job that you care about. It can be a friendship that you care about. It can be a romantic relationship that you care about. It can be a business partnership that you're involved in. Feels like there's a theme here about relationships in general. Like what you're bringing to the table, what the other side is bringing to the table, if that's aligned, if it's mismatched. Some of you, I feel like you could be thinking about certain friendships. That it doesn't have to only be friendships, it can be other relationships. Some of you, it does feel like friendships though. or like people that you socialize with. I guess it could also be coworkers. Can also even just be one person. Yeah, something feels stuck. Four of Pentacles and Six of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles can be a very, like, not giving. This energy with Four of Pentacles, as I said before, like standing on this so it doesn't go anywhere, standing on that so it doesn't go anywhere, holding on to that so it doesn't go anywhere, balancing that so it doesn't drop off and go anywhere, like roll away. So this feels like a contained experience here. But with this card being connected with it, like in exchange, a flow has to happen. This feels like the flow is stopped or like cut off. I don't know if this is your energy or this is somebody else's energy, but there's something here about like this does not allow for an exchange to happen. Because you have to be willing to give, and this is like, I need to keep all of this. But that can also indicate too, like I don't have anything to give, or I guess that's for you to decide. Do you have nothing to give, and so like you're not able to actually show up and give anything? Or is this like, I don't want to, and then that can be reflected upon? Like, am I really holding back here? Because it, like, Six of Pentacles requires there to be a, here, you can have this, and then the person or the thing on the other end gives you something back, and then I'm showing up with this, and then there, you know, and it allows the game and the like relationship to continue going back and forth. But having Four of Pentacles up there, it shows that like something was in a gridlock, like it wasn't happening. It's like you pass the ball to the other person and they're supposed to throw it back to you, and they're just holding on to it and nothing is happening. So it will feel like something was not reciprocal. It didn't allow the exchange to continue. Because like if you know, if you're not getting the ball back, you have nothing to throw to the other person because they're just keeping it and the game's over then. Like the relationship is over, like the flow between is cut off. So I wonder if you feel like something stopped. This does have to do with a relationship. That's what I'm seeing. Another way that this can manifest, having Four of Pentacles here, this can mean that like somebody's not able to give something, or what. So they're like the two sides of a relationship, and there's going to be the interaction in between that allows it to be a relationship. What can happen is that one or both sides could have been like, I'm not giving anything, and then like that could have been the thing that was going on. But what Four of Pentacles can also indicate is like, what I'm showing up with or what I have to give is not, like the other side can feel like not getting what they need, or you could have felt like that too. And this can also feel like, even if I wanted to give something, I don't have anything to give here. That can be another way that this can be too. So yeah, some of you, I'm seeing that you're moving into potentially a gridlock with someone, and values are going to come up, and what would be needed to sustain an exchange, that can also be coming up. And that can be something that you're looking into. Well, like what's actually needed for something to work, for a relationship to be sustained. Because this looks like something happening with you and another person where there's a, like, I don't have anything to give, I don't have anything to give, and it just feels like that, and then there's not that flow. And that may have been something that was not being seen before. And I wonder too if that's what's being looked into. Like, I'm realizing that part of me that's like, like, I'm holding on to this, I don't have anything to give. Like, is it really you don't have anything to give, or is it just you being inflexible here? You know, like Four of Pentacles can be seen as like a stubborn energy. Sometimes it can be seen as like a greedy energy. I'm not saying that it has to be like that. Like, I'll let you decide for yourself what's going on, but that can definitely be it's like stopping the flow of things. Like, nothing is going in and out. Like, everything is just staying where it is. And so it doesn't allow there to be like an export and an import. Like, that part isn't happening, so nothing's really moving. Having Two of Swords, this can be about like needing to see this, needing to recognize that that's what's been going on, and possibly for some of you a decision might have to be made about this. But first it's going to have to be recognized in the first place, like what's even taking place. There can also be something going on with a lack of communication as well. Interesting. I am seeing the devil be involved. This can mean that something needs to be recognized, something needs to be seen. But the devil being involved can mean that there's an attachment to something, like for the sake of attachment, and that it's like not actually aligned. And that's why it's not working. I want to know what motivated the Four of Pentacles to happen, because you could have been having an exchange with someone, but it feels like then the Four of Pentacles took place, which is like can be a pulling back, or like I'm not giving anymore. And I want to know like what kicked this off. Like, maybe somebody just felt like they needed to think about this, and that's why it happened. What kicked this off? Like, what stopped the flow? A lack of trust. I'm seeing Seven of Swords. Reasons of self-preservation. I want to get another card. Interesting. I'm seeing Seven of Swords and I'm seeing Five of Wands. I mean, initially the first thing that I think of, and there are different ways that this can manifest. The first thing that I think of with Seven of Swords, this can be like a lack of trust, it can be a betrayal, it can be like feeling suspicious about something, and then there being like conflict. So it can be that like somebody's doing something and there is a feeling, even though one may not know what exactly is going on, it can just feel like something fishy is happening. And then Five of Wands, there can be conflict about that. What that can mean too is that if this isn't you, if you're not the one that's the Seven of Swords here, you can feel suspicious of your partner. You can feel suspicious of what this person is doing, and you can feel like they stopped sort of, what's the word? They stopped the exchanges happening because they're up to something. That can be Seven of Swords, Five of Wands. That can definitely be what's going on. And if you are the person that's Seven of Swords and Five of Wands, you may be doing something that you're feeling conflicted about, but not sharing with this person that you're supposed to be honest with, you know, like that would be, I imagine, the agreement that you have with this person, that there would be a transparency. So yeah, somebody may very well be withholding, and it actually stopped things from flowing between you guys. What's that about though? What's being withheld? Do we want to look into it? I don't want to like be sharing anything that's not going to be unhelpful. Can we clarify what the Seven of Swords is? there can be a new chapter that's been introduced into someone's life. I was seeing the Ace of Cups wanting to come out. This means that there can be like a new connection involved in things. Someone can feel like they have to take care of themselves within their personal life. I'm seeing Queen of Pentacles come out. I don't know, maybe one feels like oh, you know what this can be? This can be like somebody isn't looking after themselves the way that they need to, and they may not want the other person to see, and that's why they can be withholding. You know, like if somebody's caught up doing things that are not good for them, because that can definitely, like having Queen of Pentacles, clarifying Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords can be like self-sabotaging and or just doing something that one doesn't feel good about because it's not truly aligned with their values and how they want to be perceived. And having Queen of Pentacles clarify that. Queen of Pentacles has to do with you and yourself, or this person and themselves, and how they are or aren't taking care of themselves. And so regardless of what it is, it's going to be that somebody isn't doing things in alignment with their values, and they don't want to be seen doing that because they know that it's not aligned. And so that's where it looks like the tension is coming from. They can be avoiding going through a necessary transformation, or this can be like the way that it's going to kick it off for them. But this can be a time where, like, if this is the other person and it's not your energy, it can be a time that this person is going through changes and you can't be like as close with them as you were before because of where they are. Like it really depends on the person. Like some of you can be with your person while they're going through something that's a really big transformation within their life if they allow you in, but I'm seeing there be a resistance to that. I'm seeing there be a the word cloister is coming through. There's a like veiling that's happening, and then there's tension because of that. It's like if it's agreed upon that you and this person are transparent with one another, and they're not being transparent, and they know that the agreement is to be transparent, then they're feeling conflicted because they know that they're supposed to be transparent with you because that was the agreement. However, they don't want you to see, like they don't want to be vulnerable with you, and then they're feeling conflicted because they like know what they should be doing or what they agreed upon, and then they know what their ego is telling them, and so they're like in a whole thing with themselves. So it looks like that's what kicks off. So yeah, if you felt like you were trying to move forward and then something was frozen with you and this person, that's what's going on. That's what kicked this off. That's why stuff stopped flowing between the two of you. Oh, some of you, this is not new. Some of you, this is like an old behavior pattern. So this would not be the first time that you would see this happening. I'm seeing. This is like the coming back up of an old familiar way of doing things, but that's like, because it's connected with the Seven of Swords, you can see this as being like a lack of accountability. If this does get worked out, I'm seeing things can move forward after that point. It does look like things will unfold quickly thereafter. Yeah, so if this is your own energy, know that the person that's like on the other end of the phone with you, they're noticing something is going on with you. If that's yours, that energy is yours. If it's not yours, you're noticing something going on with your partner and them not being clear with you, and that's what you're sensing. Why they're holding back is because they're tending to basically conflict that they have over not being in alignment with their true values and sort of their narrative of fear that's very much motivating what they're doing. And it can have them like a bit indisposed, actually, like not available to exchange properly with you, and that's what you're feeling. I will say this too, like that doesn't have to mean that you and this person are not compatible, but it can mean that when they're like at this frequency, you guys are not compatible with one another, or vice versa. Having Page of Swords and having the Lovers, you may bring this up to this person. Like if this isn't your, well, I guess either way, if this is something that you're doing, you can maybe decide to divulge, communicate this with this person, even though it can feel very vulnerable, but you can feel like you're putting your relationship at stake if you don't be honest with them. And for those of you that this is like your partner and you're like trying to figure out like why are they withholding, or why are they holding back, or like why haven't they been showing up like they were before, they normally are, like what's going on with them, like why are they hiding? For some of you, you feel something like that going on. Page of Swords is going to be you looking into this and figuring out what's going on. And for some of you too, you could have been getting weird feelings about it, and you could have been like pulling back your energy and being like, why all of a sudden do I feel like I need to pull back my energy from this person, when technically like I'm not seeing something noticeably that's going on, but I just feel like I need to keep my distance, or I feel like I don't want to interact with them for some reason. It's because of picking up like sort of unconsciously on what's going on with them, and this feels like a self-preservation thing that you're doing, and you can be like looking into that. You can be asking questions, you can be looking into this yourself, you can be going to them and being like, hey, what's going on? I'm noticing something happening. And Two of Swords and the Devil feels like your connection with this person, or even your attachment to this person, can be the thing that makes it, you know, when it's hardest to truly see sometimes the people that you're closest with, it can be one of those times, but it can also be difficult to see what's going on because of the nature of what's happening. Because Two of Swords and the Devil can also be, sometimes it can be self-deception of like something's going on here and there's a part of me that almost doesn't want to see that. I don't want to recognize what's happening. For those of you that it's like the other person that has something going on that you're feeling, just having feelings about. For those of you that this is your own energy, well, I guess like it can equally be both of your energies. It doesn't just have to be one or the other. If you're the one that's like, you're not doing something and then like hiding it or not being transparent with the other person, the Devil can be like your attachment to the relationship being something other than it is. And it can be like the lie or the deception, like the veil essentially, of like, I don't want something to be going on with this person. Like, I want to believe that they're being honest with me, you know, or transparent with me. I don't want to believe that they're doing something and it must be me, you know. You could be internalizing this. For those of you that that you're the one that's doing something where you're not being transparent about to this person, the Devil speaks about ways that we go about trying to sort of like fill a hole that we feel within ourselves. And so the Devil will be the way that one is trying to like live that out or play that out by looking externally and being like, this is going to complete me, or this will make it better, or that thing, and then it like never really does, and you're sort of chasing your tail. And then also not being discreet about this process. So it can be with the Devil here, like battling something that feels, it can be like a cycle of like addiction, or it can be stuff with mental health going on, spiritual health, materialism, just anything where it would be trying to like consume or take something in outside of yourself because of something going on internally that is really going to need a spiritual solution, but trying to basically take care of it by something materially externally, and that's not going to really resolve what's going on, and that may not even be realized yet at that point. With Two of Swords and And the devil, it can be like not seeing that the devil isn't the answer yet. Like that may not be realized yet at this point, but it can be something that's being looked into. The devil overall is the notion that you can never get enough of something that almost works, and it will always almost work, but it never really will, and so you're always in that cycle with it because it's always this external seeking. Having the sun here, I do feel like this realization is found. I feel like this is all coming to light now, like coming into perspective, like focus, being focused in on. What this feels like too is that you can be realizing too, like, what is authentically compatible with your values, especially your relationship values, versus what is like a fake of that. And like it just always kind of misses the mark. It sort of, again, like almost works, but then it doesn't really. And there can be a realizing of that, of like, this was something I didn't want to admit to myself. It was something that was difficult for me to recognize, can even still be, but it feels like your self-worth is also tied into this, of like how you're treating this person, how you're treating yourself, how you're looking at things. So yeah, self-worth and self-confidence can definitely be part of this, and also doing things in a way that may be a more slow and steady build, but that feeling like maybe that's the way that you can move in the direction of stabilizing what you want within your life. And this can also be too an approach that you're going to take to working with this energy. This feels like a tall order. A very tall order. Yeah, some of you have been looking into why you've been feeling put off. So in this bottom part of the spread, I'm seeing you move into an exchange with another person, but then the devil being there feels like a realization comes to light that something is like not showing up as the real deal for you, like it's not actually compatible with where you are with your values. And so even though sort of the offer, even the motions are there, Five of Swords feels like you're looking at this and maybe seeing something as it is. I wonder too if it feels like there's pain that's involved in this as well. Because ending with Five of Swords and also Three of Swords on the bottom of the deck, it can leave you feeling immobile. I wonder too if with this Queen of Wands and Judgment and Knight of Wands, if you feel like you need to step it up within your life and maybe like not allow something anymore that you don't want to allow, like maybe even how somebody is approaching you or how they're approaching the relationship that you're a part of. Because I even get this thing like the most important thing is you seeing yourself in this process and seeing yourself as the Queen of Wands, which is you having this sense of like love and admiration and appreciation for yourself, and also about like your self-worth and like what you deserve, and also like what works and what doesn't work and what aligns, and you be treated the way that you want to be treated, all of those things. And that when you see yourself in that light and you hold yourself and those around you to those standards, that that's where joy comes from, because you know, like, I'm being treated in a way that's aligned with how I want to be treated, and I'm not accepting something that I actually feel like is unacceptable, but I've been accepting it because of my attachment, because I feel like this thing outside of me is going to be the answer, when really the answer is me. And the answer is my self-love, and the answer is my self-worth, and being in a good place with myself. And you know too that self-worth comes from when you are involved in things that are aligned with your values, because values are associated with your self-value and your self-worth. And so when you're doing things that are like, there's a disparity in the exchange, you start questioning yourself and you start questioning your worth. Like, maybe this is what I deserve. And it feels like you're taking a deeper look at things, because maybe you weren't seeing that before. So it looks like there's a deep dive that you're doing into, and this isn't to look at this other person and judge them, or to say, like, have any sort of criticism or judgment about them and what they're doing. This is about you and your own standards of, like, what's acceptable for you or not. Because, like, maybe this person's behavior is compatible with another person and you're just not it. So it's not even about saying, like, having an issue with them. It's more so like, what are you accepting? What are you allowing? And is it something like, are you really getting what you need here? Does this really align with your standards? When it comes to what you bring to the table and what whoever else is on the other end of this brings to the table, is that compatible? Is it sustainable, or is it not? Are you feeding into something that keeps taking from you, and then you're questioning your worth? So it does feel like asking the big questions here, and there's like a lot of learning here that has to do with giving and taking, the exchanges that you're involved within. And seeing through the illusion. Maybe too, this is going to be a time where you see the value of working at something step by step, even if it takes a bit longer, because that may be something that's more solid. Like, I wonder too if there's going to be a difference in your approach and also what you're allowing as far as what's approaching you. Because I even see it feeling like there may just be something that you used to look for, or that used to feel compatible for you in the past, and now you're in a place where you're in a different place within your life, and you may be looking for something different. You may be looking for something that's more sustainable. Maybe before you were involved in things that felt more unreliable and maybe like very exciting, but it could have felt like unreliable, unstable, like coming and going, really intense and then nothing at all, and feeling like you're getting moved all around. Having Knight of Pentacles here feels like there's an energy being introduced that's about sort of slowly chipping away at something to get to where you want to go, and making moves that are for the goals that you have, that you want to be seeing materialize, especially for yourself and the life that you want to be living. Because maybe you can even offer something more steady and stable now. This relationship, it doesn't look like something that you would like easily throw away. And I'm not even saying that that would be the solution here, but what this means is that you may ask yourself if you are holding on to something so tightly that you're sort of fighting the flow of things, and it's not allowing you to see what you need to see, and then getting to the point where I feel like inevitably the sun is going to come out, and anything that you hadn't been seeing is going to be realized big time. And it really has to do with your relationship with yourself and how you're perceiving yourself, and especially perceiving yourself as like having this innate worth. And you can even be looking into what was happening where you weren't recognizing that within yourself, you know? Your voice of criticism, of like, I'm not good enough, of not even having your heart open towards yourself. Because I feel like what you're calling judgment on is a Five of Swords, which is like a split that you may have within you that is going to be reconciled. That, like, this part of you that you've been distant from, that you're going to be connecting with. That part of you that's been closed off because of being shut down in your heart space, and they're going to be this reopening or this sense of judgment that you're going to be addressing and recognizing within yourself. Where does this come from? Why do I deny maybe stability within my life, or something that's going to be more secure or more aligned with what I want to see manifesting materially? You know, where that it feels like the genesis of this is from pain that you've gone through before. And that can be something that comes into question too. Like, I have low self-worth because I internalized the way that people treated me in the past, you know, and I felt like this was all I deserved. It can be like stuff like that, you know, that you're really going into and seeing, like, times when in your life you split off from yourself. And in breaking this down, it feels like purifying that and you coming back together with yourself and recognizing that you are whole. It's about psychologically, like, weaving things back together and allowing things to, yeah, to come back together and feel 100%. Then to, like, really see your value, to see your worth. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.